Welcome to A2 lesson 38. We're going to be looking at no longer, any longer, anymore, and their uses. Start with the meaning. All the three expressions mean the same thing. When I say any longer, no longer, and anymore, they all have the same meaning. Means what? Means like something was true before, but it is not true now. That thing was true before, but it is not true now. He works in town. But when I say he no longer works in town, that simply means that now he doesn't work in town. I can say he doesn't work in town any longer, or he doesn't work in town anymore. You see, the first thing which was true before is that he works in town. But simply the second and the third, I would say, when I use those three forms, he no longer works in town, he doesn't work in town any longer, he doesn't work in town anymore. Same meaning, just different structures. All these three, he no longer works in town, he doesn't work in town any longer, he doesn't work in town anymore. That's the same meaning. Means like before he used it to work in town, yes, but now no. Which means like the same just meaning but different structures. Let's go to the first one, which is no longer. How do we use no longer? We take subject plus no longer plus verb. Subject no longer verb. Example, I no longer eat sugar. She no longer lives in Kigali. They no longer study English at university. Just like that, simply like that. We use no longer, just it's a more formal and common in writing and polite speeches. And when we use no longer, it can't be used with don't and doesn't. What does that mean? It implies that no longer we use it in positive sentences, but with a negative meaning. It is used in positive sentences, but for a negative meaning. Simply like when I say I no longer eat sugar, means like I don't eat sugar anymore. Like I stopped eating sugar. She no longer lives in Kigali means like this time maybe she's living in Dubai. That's her home place. They no longer study English at university means like studying English at university stopped. Any longer. When I say any longer is just also as simple as that, just as no longer. The form is to take dash dash not a negative, something then negative, doesn't or do not, shouldn't, no, do not, does not, are not, is not, am not, then verb plus any longer. It is used in negative sentences only. Any longer is used in negative sentences, no longer is used in positive sentences, and we put any longer at the end of the sentence. If you even see in the structure, it is at the end, any longer. Example, I could say like I don't live with my parents any longer. Just it comes here at the end. He doesn't drive at night any longer. Just put it at the end, and it has a negative. It is in the negative sentence. Doesn't drive, don't live. You see, it's in negative sentences. They aren't friends any longer. Like aren't. And remember when you use these other verbs, like the verb, if the verb is to be, you put it before. Don't say they aren't, then you put another verb. No, remember is are, the first lesson of A1, is are, verb to be is followed by a noun or gerund or adjective. A gerund is also just plays a role of being a noun. You just put a noun or you put adverb, yeah, at the end. And it is used in a neutral and common in speaking and writing. Remember we said that no longer is more formal in writing mostly, and this one any longer is more in writing and in speaking. The one which is anymore, the form is dash dash not verb anymore. In this case, it is also used in negative sentences only, and the position is also at the end of the sentence. You see, like here, we put it at the end of the sentence, just like the first one. Just put it at the end of the sentence, and simply it is also used in negative sentences, just like any longer. Except no longer, which is used in a positive, any longer is used in a negative, and anymore is also used in a negative. That's the only simple difference. I don't drink coffee anymore. She isn't hungry anymore. They don't come to school anymore. The same structures as the previous any longer thing. You see, it has a negative don't, isn't, don't. Like remember I told you when you use is, are, it is followed by adjective or noun. Simply like that. Then put anymore. It is very common in everyday spoken English. Most people like to say anymore than using any longer and no longer. People like to use anymore. Let's do a quick comparison chart. When we say no longer is used in positive structures, positive forms, and we put no longer in the middle, and it is more formal. Any longer is used in negative sentences, and we put it at the end of the sentence, and it is neutral. And anymore is used also in the negative sentences, and we put it at the end, and it is very common and more informal. So here you're going to fill in the gaps using no longer, any longer, anymore. Just choose the right one based on what we have learned. He doesn't play football dash dash. She dash dash wants to travel abroad. They aren't living here dash dash. I dash dash eat meat. The shop doesn't open on Sundays. Then you're going to rewrite these sentences using the word in the bracket. You're going to use these words in the bracket, and then you rewrite the sentence. Remember these words like three, no longer, any longer, and anymore, they mean that something was true before, but this time, no, it's not true anymore. It changed, like it's no longer true. It's no longer the truth. I don't read newspapers anymore. She no longer works at the bank. We don't argue anymore. He no longer wants to buy the house. We don't study together anymore. Here you're going to find a way to use no longer instead of using anymore. Here you will use any longer instead of no longer. Here you will use no longer instead of anymore. And here you will use anymore instead of no longer. And here you will use no longer instead of anymore. Just based on the structures that we have learned before, how to put them in the right position based on what we have learned as a structure. If you don't remember, you can refer to the given exercises before and even the given structures before. Let's do this last quiz. Which one is more formal? Between the two, which one is more formal? Remember, we have seen the one which is more formal, we have seen the one which is informal, and we have seen the one which is neutral. Which one is more formal here? And the second, you're going to choose the correct sentence. I don't drive no longer. I don't drive anymore. Which one is the correct sentence here? Where should any longer go in the sentence? When you say any longer, where do we put it? Do we put it at the beginning, in the middle, at the end? Where should it be? You're going to rewrite these sentences using no longer. She doesn't study English anymore. You're just going to write using it no longer. You're going to choose the correct option. They aren't living in Lubavu. No longer or any longer, you're going to choose the one which is the best to be put in that position there. Ciao. Hope to see you in the next video.